Randumb Rants. Like and subscribe. We in rant mode. You already know. Shout outs to my man, Larson. Shout outs to Mumbo Sauce. Shout outs to Supremo. Shout outs to Lobo Tommy. Y'all take a liking to these New York Undercover videos. This one was requested. And y'all be having rants. Go back and watch these. And the show is so legendary. It's classic. It's a legendary show. Rants almost forgot about it. But I gotta break this one down. If you guys aren't familiar, this episode is based on a real life situation. The Yummy case in Chicago. Now, you already know rants don't break down stuff like that. Y'all do y'all research. Okay? Some of y'all may already be familiar. But y'all gotta think. That had just happened a few years prior, and this show came out in like 95. New York Undercover is cranking that. Like, let's be realistic. Like, the soundtrack is already butter smooth. But then the story and the writing, crazy. The writing is crazy. And we're going to break down what I believe this is season 1, episode 24. Manchild. You guys remember how the episode start? They playing that broken glass everywhere. People looking at the baby, they just don't care. Don't push me, cause I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head. You gotta make sure you do that. It's like a jungle sometimes that make me wonder how I keep from going under. Rants gotta hit you with a little concert. I'm gonna hit you with one of them every episode. I'm gonna try to sneak one of them in, right? You know me, right? But yeah, we get a good soundtrack and we see, a bunch of kids. This is the 90s. People are outside. It's New York, right? We see the kids, we even see a familiar face. You remember him? Yeah. Fresh. Fresh. Yep. Remember, used to run bass for Esteban. Remember his little Migo man got hit up. Y'all remember that? But hey, never mind. Let's stay on topic, right? And then we see a young kid, right, that resembles a Trey Budden, Joe Budden's son. We're going to call him J.R. Ryder. Okay, this episode. We're just going to call him J.R. Ryder. Okay? So, you got Fresh and his crew and young J.R. Ryder. He took the basketball from him. Typical older kid, little kid stuff, right? And as you can see, Fresh and his group of friends, they're playing a game of basketball. And you guys have to understand, this is the 90s, okay? So they're out there trying to be like Mike, but they have baggy jeans on, okay? And one of them, you'll see my man, a young Weebay from The Wire, fouls Fresh a little hard. Fresh complains, it's typical male basketball, right? Well, Weebay's not having that. He pulled the joint out. Yeah, he pulled the thing out, right? And Fresh just like, it's all good, we don't want no problems and whatnot. Weebay like, yeah, I know we don't. And stepped off. But what he didn't know was a young J.R. Ryder was looking at him. It's J.R. Ryder. Yes, the one girls love and dig. That's old freestyle. That's neither here nor there. Look. Let me stay on topic. A young J.R. Ryder's peeping him though, right? And he's like, oh, okay. So J.R. Ryder catches Weebay in the cut over in 106 and Park. Y'all familiar with the show, right? That's exactly where they was at. They was over in 106 and Park. J.R. Ryder catches Weebay. Pull that wham out. Spanked Weebay. Right there, right? And y'all see Weebay laying right there. And we start off, and Eddie and JC is in the office, and they get a call. And Eddie answers, and it's Chantel, JC's annoying baby mother that produced his annoying offspring, Gregory. Yep. And JC is like, nah, Eddie, tell her I'm not here. But Eddie's a filthy dude. He passes JC the phone. And Chantel's being annoying to the boy's father as normal. You can hear him telling her, yes, I know it's a school night, Chantel, but it's a Knicks night, and I won't make it a habit. Now remember it's a school night. Remember that. Remember I said that, okay? Because we're going to get into that spill in a few moments, right? And now Eddie is like, yeah, I don't know why you taking them to see the Knicks. You know, they're going to be playing in wheelchairs next year. And JC's like, are you kidding me? We got Oakley. We got Ewing. And Torres is like, look, Jordan came back and Shaq is nasty too. Then Cooper comes downstairs. Y'all remember Boss Lady Coop, right? She steps down. She's like, look, I don't really care about any of that. The Rockets and Akeem is going to win it all anyway. Now, there's a body in 106 and Park, and you guys need to get down there now. All right? And, you see them. They pull up to 106 and Park, right? And when they get there, the arriving officer to the scene is telling them, yeah, it was an African-American youth. He got hit in the face point blank range with a 9mm. And they find that young Weebay had that iron on him, but he never fired it. And while they're finding that iron that was on Weebay, Torres finds a live round from the 9 that was possibly used in the crime. So now, of course, they're asking questions, and Torres asks, hey, anybody know the kid that got deleted? Nobody says anything, of course, and JC offers $10. He's like, yeah, I got $10 for anybody. And a kid says something. He was like, oh, no, that's Red. He's from the projects down the street. And JC asks, like, well, who do you think did this to dude? He was like, I don't know. Red hung with some bad people. You should, maybe ask them. And in the next scene, right, you see Fresh, who we find out real name is Al, right? And he's walking into his hood, and you see J.R. Ryder stops him. He's like, Al. And Al turned around. He like, look, hey, you don't want to be pulling on me like that, little mouse. And that's when we find out the little boy's name is Little Mouse. Okay? So, and Mouse has crazy lists, mind you, right? He's loud in the open talking. He's like, yo, homies, you see what I did to him? And Fresh like, huh? He like, yeah, Rich, I canceled him. I saw the way he dished you in front of everybody. And Fresh like, hold on, you smoked him? And Mouse like, yes, I canceled him. Now can I hang with you? And Fresh pulled him to the side. He's like, look, little Mouse. I can take care of my own beef, okay? You need to work on speech therapy. Now, when I was your age, I was running base for Esteban, and my little Spanish man got hit up. He reminded me of you. See, I was playing chess with grown men. So you gotta lay low until I get on top of this heat. That's going to come with this body that you dropped. And Mouse is like, well, I did it for you. Shh. And he agrees, and afterwards he's like, well, after that, can I hang with you? And Fresh, he's thrown off because he's so used to being by himself. He's like, look, we gonna see, man. We gonna see Little Mouse. And in the next scene, you see Torres and JC, they pull up to a dice game involving some young men. They flash their badges and they start asking questions. And of course, the men naturally, they don't want to speak to 5-0, of course, right? And JC and Torres, they're like, look, we're just trying to figure out who deleted your friend. And the crew lets them know, we don't know anything, And if we did, we would deal with it ourselves, of course, And now Torres and JC, they go back to Cooper and they relay all the information that they found so far. And Cooper's like, hey, this kid didn't even have any priors, okay? And then they walk out. And Torres lets JC know. He's like, look, I'm going to see if I can find any witnesses. And JC's like, all right, Torres, cool, I'm going to check forensics. And Torres is like, nah. I'll handle it. I don't want you to miss the tip-off. The Knicks game tonight. And JC is so unrealistic. He's like, well, I'll rather work So I'm going to go to forensics like an idiot. And that's going to bite him in a couple scenes, right? It just doesn't make any sense. Nobody would do this, okay? Mind you, this episode comes out in April, okay? So we're going to assume that it's the 95 playoffs, okay? And I'm going to show the screen again, okay? Just give me one more scene, all right? Because in the next scene, we see a group of teens, they meet, right? And you see the kid that was just questioned. And you also see my man Fresh and whatnot, and he's letting them know. He's like, look, Red was a good friend of mine, we need any info on his body. And we suspect y'all to be honest. And Fresh is like, we didn't do it. And Slim, who we just gonna call him T-Rob. We don't know his name. T-Rob. So T-Rob is like, look, that playground that y'all hang with, it's gonna be a slay ground if y'all don't name somebody. And this leads to Fresh Man and the dude that hit B Rabbit Girl in 8 Mile. I never liked this dude. But they got into like they was about to fight basically, right? They calmed it down. And T-Rob was like, look, if y'all do know something, y'all can have the crack house up the street. And that's pretty good money. That's going to be good for y'all. And Fresh Man whisper in his ear, he like, look, that kid is expendable. We need that crack house. So Fresh was like, all right, look, I know the name of the dude. It's a little dude named Mouse. He's a kid. He got a lisp. He can rap like crazy, though. And T-Rob like, I don't care about him rapping, nor do I care about him being a kid. Y'all gonna have to take that little boy out, or I'm assuming y'all did it. Simple as that. And now Fresh is stuck in a pickle. He's stuck in a pickle. And in the next scene, right, we see Chantel open the door for JC. And as soon as he ain't even say hello to her because he knew he was dead wrong. Talking about some, yeah. I know I was going to be here at 6. I know I came late, but I got hung up on a case. That's your fault, JC. Who chooses to work over going to a Knick playoff game with their annoying son? That's what you chose to do. And it shows a lot, right? Because we're about to really get into this annoying boy, right? He's like, G, go grab your coat, man. G's like, hey, Dad, I don't want to go to the Knicks game tonight. And JC's like, huh? We still have time to catch a tip. And G says, no, it's not that. I have a friend coming over, and I haven't saw them in a while. And JC, of course, looks at Chantel. He's a poon hound. So naturally, he's like, this has to be a female. He looks at Chantel's like, oh, well, I guess she must be a special friend. Because you trying to miss a Knicks game with your father. And they playing in the Garden. And they're playing the Pacers. This might be one of the choke games. Come on, let's show the screen one more time. Look, it could even be the Cavs or it could be the Pacers. But because G is so lame and annoying, we're just going to assume this boy is missing the Knicks and the Pacers. And he's like, yeah, I don't care about the Pacers, Dad. And it is not a girl. It's a boy. Matter of fact, he's at the door right now, and G opens the door. And guess who it is? Little Mouse, a.k.a. Trey Button, a.k.a. J.R. Ryder. And he walks in with a list talking about some, hey, Mr. Williams. Like, you ain't even acknowledge his mother. And what happened to it being a school night? What happened to that, Chantel? You pressed your baby father out. Oh, you want to take him to a basketball game? It's a school night. But now you about to let this little thug boy, whom I know you don't know him like that. Matter of fact, she do, because I forgot. We're going to get on that because the parents do get involved. But nonetheless, you going to let him stay up on a school night, Chantel? See, you not practicing what you preach. And you annoying, just like your damn son. And I know I'm off topic, I know. But yeah, the little boy walks in and whatnot, right? So now, Mouse and G, they in the room playing with toys. And Mouse trying on G's private school blazer, saying like, dang, you wear these crazy preppy clothes to school? And G is so amazed by his toy Ferrari. And Mouse tells him, oh, you can have that. See, Mouse is off the porch. He already got a body under his belt. So he's never going to play with another toy again. Matter of fact, you saw the toys he played with now. He laid Weebay down. You know, and if you don't, you definitely about to find out. But anyway, Chantel and JC walks in, right? And Chantel trying to act like she in control, telling them it's time for bed, knowing that's just a stunt, right? Because she know JC be letting G stay up to like 12 o'clock and whatnot, right? And Chantel grabs this little boy book bag, and she didn't even notice how heavy it was. You know, you would think, you know, being that your baby father's a cop and whatnot, and this is your house. But Mouse quickly, you know, grabbed that book bag back, right? And JC is like, Randy, how have you been? We found out that Mouse's real name is Randy. Okay? So he's like, Randy, how have you been? And Randy's lying. He's like, I'm doing good. I'm in school, you know. I'm not stealing any more bikes. See, Randy's fingerprints is in the system from a bike theft from 4 months prior. And JC, like any concerned father that care about their job more than their kid, he took that case. Even though he could have used it as an excuse for conflict of interest because that's his son's friend. But no, JC loves his job, you know. And now G's telling him, you know, I'm sorry, you know, I made you miss the game, Dad. And JC's letting him know, it's cool, son. You're lame and you're annoying. And you're clearly nothing like me. You know, we just missed Miller at the Garden. And I've been around your mom much longer than I had expected today. So I'm gone. And they make sure they tell him, well, we're not Knicks fans. And I've already explained that theory in the Steve Urkel video. Please go back and check that out. But kids in the 90s and whatnot, we were bandwagon Bulls fans. So they wasn't Knicks fans. They were bandwagon Bulls fans, of course. We didn't care, and we didn't have a real opinion about life, you know, unless you were Randy, of course, because he's out here catching bodies. You know, and if you out here catching bodies, then your word holds a little bit more weight at 10 years old, of course, right? So he's a real Bulls fan, right? And in the next scene, Torres, he asks JC like, yeah, so how was the game last night and whatnot? And JC was like, oh, I didn't go. My son decided to hang with his friend. And Torres was like, whoa, I hope it was a female. And JC said, no, of course not. My son is lame. He's annoying, Torres. And of course, Torres agrees. And you know, you see them, they track down one of their informants, who just so happens to be a Bears fan, which says a lot about Bears fans, right? In general, though, right? But anyway, JC harasses this dude and throws pork rinds at him. And he's talking about, yeah, what I tell you about eating swine? You don't care about your health? And it's so funny he said that. See, because JC was eating pork bacon in that jail episode. You know, the one that we did already. We already did it. When JC was undercover in, you know, jail and the grapes. You guys remember it, right? Yeah. He was eating pork bacon. So it's so funny how he's giving this dude a hard time, right? Something you don't care about your health. You know, it's all good, though. Because he actually threw the plate at the booty snatcher. Y'all see it, right? When he threw the plate at the booty snatcher, it was clear and evident that he was intending on eating that plate. He threw it because he was mad. You know, we already went through that episode, though, nonetheless, though, right? So they holler at the informant, and the informant is like, yeah, you know, the dude Red had a little beef with the kids from Lincoln Projects. And, you know, they get the info they need and they step off, right? And then we hear the infamous Tupac Dear Mama playing, right? And, boy, they play this song out on this episode. It was like, I guess Andre Harrell was like, yeah, we got clearance. You know, they was like, you sure? Like, yeah, we got the clearance. Go ahead, play it. I don't care if you play it 5 times throughout the episode. Go ahead and play it. And boy, did they do that. They made sure they got their money's worth off that pot clearance, right? And you see G and you see Randy, they sneaking into like a abandoned train track. And you're reminded that Randy is still a kid, right? You know, you see like, he's like, I don't feel like going home. And you know, G's a follower. So he follows behind Randy, of course, right? And they're on top of the little box. They're talking about flying and what they would do if they could fly. Oh, but this isn't Mayberry, of course, right? This isn't Mayberry. No. This is New York. And a booty snatcher peeped these little kids, right? Now, once again, you would think G would have some awareness. You know, he's a cop's kid and whatnot, right? But no, that's never the case with G. And this guy's clearly high off PCP. He's a booty snatcher. He snatched up G so quick, and he almost tossed him off the building. But no. See, G is with one of his real friends, and Randy pulled that dog out so quick, he held that bad boy's side hand, about to snap his little wrist in half. Y'all remember in all the 90s movies and sitcoms, they used to hold the junk side hand. He was holding that bad boy's side hand, right? And the booty snatcher was like, oh, like, oh. And you got to think, his aim was not that sweet. JC would have probably got hit. It would have been an accident, but he probably would have got hit. But the booty snatcher stepped off, right? And I'm going to let you know, Randy would have let off on that dude. He would have let off on the booty snatcher. It would have been body number 2. But he knows that G's father is a cop, and he's annoying. Like, Randy knows that. He knows G is annoying. But he also knows he's the son of a cop. And he knows he's not about this gangster life that he's living, So off jump, of course, G, who escapes these fatal moments like Walter White, he asks Randy off jump, where you get the jump from? And Randy like, look, I've been hanging with Al and them. Fresh. Real down, brothers. We always stay straps. We stay straps, man. He has heavy lisp, right? And she said, yeah, I know Al. He's a bad guy. What you hanging with him for? And Randy's like, nah, that's like my big brother, man. Randy says, look, I get you're annoying. I get you're annoying. But I didn't have that. If I didn't have that thing on me, that booty snatcher that smelled like crazy chemicals, I think it was high off PCP, he would have touched you. And after he would have touched you, he would have tossed you off that roof. So thank me. Thank me. And G agreed. He was like, yeah, I got to thank you, man. I got it. He didn't really have no choice. And Randy's like, it's all good. It's all good, man. I got your back. You got mine. And right after he tell him that, G like, all right, well, look, I'm about to go home. Even though you just saved my life, I'm about to go home. Randy like, well, I'm about to go to the arcades. He like, all right, well, you going to the arcade? Cool. See, Randy is loyal. He's down. Fresh already told him lay low, so he's not going home. Okay? That's evident, right? And in the next scene, we see JC in the lab, and the forensics dude tell him, those fingerprints was small. So we ran them through the juvenile database, and we got a lead. Randy Benton apparently had a bike theft 4 months ago. Now JC's having a panic attack, right? And it's not because of that info. It's because he got to call his annoying baby moms, okay? And tell her this. He's like, man, it's like the 3rd time I done had to interact with her this episode, So he lets her know. He's like, yeah, is Randy still there? And Chantel's like, no, they left. He's like, well, if he comes back, let me know. I'll be there to explain later and whatnot. And we see JC at Randy's house, right? And it's clear that the mom is familiar with JC, right? In his next scene. And him and Torres walks in the apartment, and they let her know, like, ma'am, we think your son has been involved in a shooting. When was the last time you saw him? And she sits him down. She's like, well, I haven't saw him since yesterday when he went over, your baby mother's house and whatnot, Chantel. But then she starts to go smack. She was like, Randy doesn't have a father figure like that, like your Gregory. I'm losing control. I spanked him. I punished him, but nothing works. He needs a father figure. And JC gives the mom the number. It was like, well, if he comes in, give me a call. And you know what? And Torres leaves out right before, right when he left out, he go back in. He was like, yeah, and if he don't come back tonight, maybe, you can give me a call too, and we can work on that father figure. Because, he a poon hound. JC a poon hound. So when he gave her that card, he already knew what was up. And now they in the hallway, right? And JC get a calls on his cell phone. And it's Chantel. So he's having another panic attack. He's like, oh my God, how many times I got to talk to this lady in a 40-minute episode, right? And she tells him, G just came home and Randy not with him. So, come on through. And now JC's headed over there, right? And JC arrives and he tells his son, Mouse is in some serious trouble. And G, he's like, well, what kind of trouble? Mouse was involved in a bang out. And G, he's asking questions like he's 23, right? Like he pays taxes. This is what G does. He's annoying, right? He's like, well, did the person pass? And JC's like, yes, he did. And Chantel talking about JC, no, shaking her head. JC finally puts his foot down and says, Chantel, you want to treat this boy like a man? We got to talk to him like one. Like I'm clearly here to do my job as a police officer first and a father second. And you stopping that. Now listen, G, if you know where Mouse is, you need to let us know ASAP. Especially me. Okay? It's some people out here trying to hurt him. And G lies right to his father's face. I don't know where he's at. And JC say, okay, well, if you see him, let me know. And now they're in the office and Coop's like, y'all want me to put a APB out on a 10-year-old? That's where the state resources is going now? How about y'all do y'all goddamn jobs and find a little boy before he get hurt? He's 10 years old. I heard he was in your house. Pulled hound JC Williams. Chantel done called this office 16 times today. Go find the damn kid. Yeah, Coop don't be playing with them. And in the next scene, you see G walk up on Randy at the arcade because you know he just lied to his father because that's where Randy said he was going to be at, right? And he asks Randy straight up, just like his police daddy, hey, Randy, did you blame somebody? And Randy, he don't know no better. He like, yeah, I smoked a guy. So watch, G. Watch it tell ya. And G like, what you do that for? It's like, to be down with Al. Like the crew. You gotta earn respect out here, G. I'm off the push now, baby. And G like, look, the cops is looking for you. And the boys from Granny is too. I don't want you to get hurt. He tell him straight up, man, I don't care. I got my piece. And I'm telling you, G, I'm prepared to use it. You saw me earlier. I got that thing on me. I'm holding it sideways. You know how I'm carrying it. And you got to understand, Randy's been out drinking 40-cent Slurpees and eating 3D Doritos. It's the 90s, you know? So he got to take a leak, right? And while he's doing that, G goes into the bag and takes the wham. And then tucks it like he the one. Like he deserved to have that. You know? Dude, you a cop son, dude. That wham got a body on it and you know about it. Your father just told you that though. Dude has no awareness. G has no awareness and he's annoying. He's annoying, right? So now at the end of the shift, right? JC gets another call from Chantel and he's like, oh, I'm about to have a heart attack, right? Like, you would honestly think it was the summer of 85 right before G was born. The way she's blowing this man's phone up. The whole episode, right? But they co-parenting, so nonetheless, right? And she tells him, hey, your annoying son snuck out the house. And JC like, all right, I'm gonna go look for him. So he's going to search for him, right? And the next scene, we back in the arcade. And G is telling Randy, like, man, what is Fresh done for you? What is Al done for you? You know, you got to talk to my dad. And Randy's like, your dad's 5-0. I can't trust him. And G like, yes, you can trust him. You know, but Randy's too far gone. He's off the porch, you know. And he's like, you know, Al told me to lay low, so I'm going to listen to him. I'm going to call him, actually. And G's like, don't call him. Wait here. I'm going to call my dad. It's only going to take 20 minutes for him to get here, okay? I got you. And the next thing you see, Fresh answers the phone, right? And you see Randy's calling from a payphone. And Randy's asking him, hey, Fresh, is it cool if I go home? My mother's starting to worry about me. You know, and Fresh put him in a trick bag. Because remember that ultimatum he was left with, right? He was like, yeah, nah, don't go nowhere. No, don't go nowhere. Where are you now, actually? Randy's like, the arcade over on 52nd Street. And Fresh tell him like, all right, just stay there. But see, Fresh got that wham on him. He got to eliminate Randy so he can get that crack spot. You already know that. And in the next scene, you see G thinking he's smart, right? Trying to sneak in the house. Chantel catches him. Boy, where have you been? He's like, I was at the arcade. And he just like brushes her off. He's like, Ma, I gotta call Dad. And of course she down talks JC. She's like, I'm the one that's been worried sick about you. What's with the sneaking out stuff, G? What's going on, G? And she like, I went to see Mouse. And Chantel's like, oh, so you were out. So you're lying to your father now. See, typical single mother. She wants to use JC now as a disciplinary tool, right? She's like, all right, wait right here. I'm about to, and then she calls this man for like the 18th time this episode, right? And you see JC's on the phone. He's like, yeah, he's telling Torres, G just said the kid is at the arcade over on 52nd Street, of course, right? And now we see Fresh and his boys walk up, right? And Randy's so excited. And, they take him to the back and whatnot. And they're about to execute Randy, but a witness stopped it and whatnot. And Randy ran. And he actually reached for that wham in his bag. But remember, G took it. Y'all remember that, right? And imagine if he had it. If he had that wham on him, he was going to let that whole crew, Fresh and the whole crew, have it. Everybody knows Randy was about that. J.R. Ryder, he was about that. And you see like he's running through Times Square. And this is actually the most empty you will ever see Times Square because they're chasing him. And luckily, they ran into a shopping cart, I believe, right? And Randy got away, right? And now you see them talking to the witness. And they're like, do you know if it's the kid named Randy and whatnot? Of course, he's like, I don't know these kids, but I did find a book bag and whatnot. I found a book bag. So, of course, Torres and JC, they take it back to Cooper's office, right? And they see in the bag, it was a 9mm clip. So, of course, the cops is like, all right, we think T-Rob and them, we think they probably tried to catch up with little Randy and whatnot. So Cooper's like, okay, why are you telling me? Bring them in for questioning. Like, what are we doing? It's kids out here getting deleted. Come on now, do your jobs. And the next scene, we see JC press out G. He's like, besides lying to me, you hit a fugitive. And that's a crime, G. Like, I tell you this stuff every day. I'm a police officer. The average cop, son, they would distance themselves from these people after being told this stuff. But you're annoying and you have a huge head, G. And you're on punishment. And G's like, well, he's my friend and you said friends need to stick together, Dad. And JC's like, it's funny. It's funny because, any other scene you act grown, right? But soon as you in trouble, you want to start saying little stupid kid stuff like this. It's so funny. Now stay away from him. Okay? I'm going to find your friend and I'm going to protect him. And then we hear that Dear Mama again. That Tupac cranking. Sweet lady, don't you know we love you, sweet lady. Put no one above you, sweet lady. Y'all know. Y'all like when I get y'all to concerts. Hey, if y'all don't, hey, rants. Okay, rants. But getting back on topic though, right? We see Randy. Randy's one step ahead. Or is he? Because he's looking at JC Lee, the apartment, right? And he's clearly not paying attention to his surroundings. Because as soon as he look up, he see Fresh and his crew there. And they got to collect. And it's a sad scene. They leave Randy. They execute him, It's sad, because he's a kid. And now we back at Chantel's house. And it's the day of the funeral. And Chantel's telling JC, G said he don't want to go. Using JC as a tactic for punishment, of course. Instead of forcing him to be ready, she waited for JC to come all the way over there and walk in the house to get him ready. Sad, right? It's sad, right? And JC walks in and tells him, like, come on, G. And G's like, look, I'm not really trying to go. I don't like funerals. And JC's like, nobody likes funerals. But it's a nice way to send off your friend. And then G is like, you told me you would protect him. You lied to me. And he's like, look, I didn't lie to you. I did my best. Now I'm going to find whoever did this to your friend. And G's like, I should go find out myself, except I'm a damn prep school coward. And JC's like, wow, looking at Chantel like, wow, he's cursing in front of us now. And Chantel steps in and JC's like, look, G, we're going to find out what happened to your friend Randy, okay? And G's like, look, if I find out, I'm going to get revenge. And JC's like, what, how? Because Lord knows you not really about this life. Like, what you mean you going to get revenge? How would you do that? And G's, he's like, look, I don't really mean it. I'm just tired of my friends getting shot. And JC's trying to calm him down like, look, you need to calm down. I'm a police officer. Like, you don't even have hands, G. Just let me handle it. And G's like, oh, okay. Well, I'm going to take my wham and I'm going to blam somebody. And, JC's a police officer. He's taking it serious. He jacks up G. He's like, what you mean you got a wham? You got a wham? Where is it at, G? You got a wham? And he's taking it serious. And Chantel was like, chill out. Calm down, JC. Thinking she has everything under control, right? JC goes right in the drawer. Because, G has no street smarts. He didn't even hide it well. Finds it. And now Chantel wants to go off. And of course, JC is like, where'd you get the wham from, man? Like, where'd you get this from, man? This is not you. Where'd you get this from? And G's like, I got it from Mouse. He's like, oh, so, this is a body. It's a body on this. You know what? And now he's using mental abuse on G, right? Because it's TV. He's like, I can't really crush him like I want to in front of these cameras, right? He's like, all right. Well, I tell you what, take the wham and do whatever you want to do with it. Now Chantel's like, JC, stop. And it's like, come on, Chantel. You clearly sent me over here to do my damn job. I'm supposed to be his father, right? Now I'm a cop first, but I'm going to be his father second every time, right? So he like, yeah, take the wham and do whatever you got to do. Do whatever you got to do. You the man, right? Go get your revenge with your big head. Go get some revenge. And G start crying like the punk he is. I'm not going to do nothing. I ain't going to do nothing. Like, yeah, that's what we thought, G. Now get ready for the damn funeral. So now G's scared straight and we at the funeral now. And you see the first parent showing her son. She's like, yeah, this is what happens. So look at him so it won't be you. And then we see JC and G, and we see J.R. Ryder resting, of course. And G puts the Ferrari that he gave him right beside him, And now we see JC and Torres and interrogating T-Rob and the boys and whatnot. And they trying to get anything out these boys. You even see the punk that hit B Rabbit Girl in 8 Mile. And he go ahead and tell Torres on the low. He like, look, I know who did it. And Torres is interested. He like, who? It's like, it was Papa Doc and the dudes from Free World. But Torres know that they're around Detroit, so he doesn't take that lead serious. Now, finally, T-Rob tells them, because they was like, look, we just going to frame you. Because they desperate now. They like, look, we just going to frame you. And T-Rob is like, okay, well, you need to go ask Al, a.k.a. Fresh from the Lincoln Projects. My hands are clean. And in the next scene, we see Chantel being careless once again. Like, God damn, once again, right? And you see her walking G to school, right? And she asks G, like, are you okay with going to school today? Mind you, that's a question that she should have asked them before they left out the house, right? I mean, like, let's be realistic, right? But G insists, she's like, yeah, I'm all right, I'm cool, ma. I'm gonna go in. And she walks off before even seeing that boy walk in the building. She walks off. He hit her with the swindle and stepped off before she even got off the block. And ladies and gentlemen, we have Chantel. You feel me? That's the baby mother. You won't be seeing her anymore this episode. Thank God. And it's crazy because we will be seeing G, and it gets even more crazy for him, but you won't be seeing her because she don't care. She don't care. And I guess this is after her weekend. That was the last time she was going to see him that weekend. JC was already due to pick him up from school, right? And in the next scene, we see Torres, right? and JC, and they walk up to question Fresh Father. And I know what y'all thinking. If y'all watched it this long, y'all probably like, Rants, we got you. How could that be Fresh Father, and Fresh Father was playing chess in the park? How could that be Fresh Father? But everybody knows, after the events that happened in the movie Fresh, this boy was clearly in the NYC DSS. He was in New York's Department of Social Services. It's evident, right? He was in their care. And this feminine creep, right, with no facial hair, clearly didn't care about Fresh. He just wanted the check, I guess, right? And he gives the cops a hard time at first. He's like, oh yeah, that boy come and goes. He don't listen to me. I got 4 other kids. That boy not even mine. And they like, look, we don't even care about that. Okay. We just want to know where they hang out at, And he's like, oh, well, you should have started with that. They over in the basketball court in the projects. Y'all didn't ever think to check there. Y'all police officers. And this is the 90s. Why don't y'all go to the basketball court? And they like, oh, wow, we didn't think about that. And they head over there. But guess who beats him there? G. And you see him boldly, right? Step up. Like, he doesn't have no street smart. Not one drop of street smart, right? Because he's Chantel's son. That's Chantel's son, Gregory, right? He approaches Al, a.k.a. Fresh. And he's like, and Fresh is like, hey, G, I haven't saw you in years. You got big. And Al's embracing him. And G's like, hey, man, I got a question for you, man. You heard what happened to Mouse? And he's like, yeah, I'm sorry to hear about that. He was like, well, he looked up to you. He loved you, actually. And he was like, all right, well, stop asking us questions. We're out here trying to be like Mike. You see, I'm out here playing basketball. And shouldn't you be in school anyway? Because we already dropped out. I used to run base for Esteban. Everybody knows that. And like G is just like I said, like he's still approaching this kid, and he's with his crew, but he's still approaching him. He's like, look, nobody knew where Mouse was except me and you. Okay. And Fresh, he's not even playing chess no more. He's like, look, I didn't smoke nobody, but I will if you don't leave, man. And like, the average kid would have walked off. Like, G is a police officer's son, right? And G says like, look, I want to know why, Al. And Al's like, look, I'm not talking to you anymore. And G's like, I have to know why. And Al turned around and pulled the wham out on G. And G sitting there looking stupid. And Al lets him know, dude, I don't care if your father a cop. I'll do this to you, man. And right when he was really about to do that, of course, Torres and JC pulled up. Of course they did. And they drew down on him. And now both of them drew down, and Fresh let them know, look, I'll do that to your son. And JC say, you're not stupid. You are not stupid. See, because we'll do that to you. Because of course he's putting his job over his fatherhood. He's not even thinking about that's his son right there. He's just thinking this is another case, right? And right when, Fresh is about to do that, he thinks about the Esteban. He thinks about his Spanish man. And G hits him with these famous words. He's like, don't blame me. I wouldn't blame you. And Al should have did it. Fresh should have did it right there. Just for you saying that to me, he should have did it. But he surrendered. And I know he was thinking like, dang, did G set me up? Because he was looking at him the whole scene. Y'all seen the show, man. He looking at him like, damn, I ain't seen G in years. He got tall and all that. And, his father is a cop. And you see them walk off, right? G didn't get any punishment off this particular scene though, right here though, right? He's not even traumatized by this at all. Mind you, he almost got his booty snatched and tossed off a roof early in the episode, right? Now he just got the wham placed to him. He's not traumatized at all. No pee is running down his leg. Nothing. Just annoying. Like, what about him being at school? They ain't like, dudes, you skip school to almost get deleted. But JC don't care. He don't care. Man, we see JC and Torres at Natalie's having drinks. Torres is actually the first person to bring up G. G never even mentioned him. Even after seeing the thug put the wham to his son, didn't even mention him. Torres like, well, at least G is safe. You know, we could toast to that. And this episode ends in the room with JC talking to G. He's like, you shouldn't have a wham on you. You can get deleted out here. And now G wants to be grown again. He's like, well, you have a wham. Will you get deleted? Like, dude, I'm a cop. You're annoying. I'm a cop. Well, actually, I'm Randumb Rants. Like and subscribe, man.